Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel. May 8th, 2018.
The Cooner Report is powered by Kelly Financial Services. Cleaning up your financial bull. Get the peace of mind that you deserve at Kelly Financial Services.
104 here on the great WRKO. Okay, we're about less than an hour away from when President Trump is going to make his official decision. He will announce it, whether we are going to pull out of the Iran deal. We'll obviously have that covered for you. You don't have to go anywhere else. But first, my friends, they first went after Trump. Now they're going after his wife and spouse, Melania. And if there's a theme so far to today's show, it's liberal hypocrisy. So you have the New York Attorney General, Eric Schneiderman, big spokesperson for the hashtag #MeToo movement, close buddy of Robert Mueller, all of whom have made a big deal, especially Schneiderman, about prosecuting Harvey Weinstein for alleged sexual misconduct and assault upon women, as well as teaming up with Mueller's FBI to go after Trump on Stormy Daniels. Well, now it turns out he's going to resign by the end of today because he has now been accused by 4 women of beating him, choking him, spitting on him. One woman in particular, a Sri Lankan girlfriend, said that he kept calling her, quote, my brown slave, unquote, and wouldn't stop choking her until she called him my master. That's a liberal Democrat for you in a nutshell. But that's okay, because the left, they keep going on with hashtag #MeToo. They keep demonizing conservatives, even though they're the ones who are the real sexual predators. And of course, I had on Dinesh D'Souza, violated campaign finance laws once. They threw him in jail. He's still on probation. His life has in many ways been ruined by this. Yet Rosie O'Donnell, not 1, not 2, not even 3, 5 campaign finance violations, 5. Using different names, aliases, address to try to circumvent the law. Nothing so far about Rosie. So if you're a liberal and you violate campaign finance laws, no problem. If you're a conservative and a Trump supporter, they will destroy you. Well, remember, it used to always be said, first ladies are off. You don't go after first ladies. Okay? First ladies are out of bounds. You don't criticize first ladies. You don't go after first ladies. Well, that has now changed under President Trump. The resistance media couldn't even wait for Melania to start speaking. I swear to you. She hadn't even started to speak at the White House announcing her initiative to combat cyberbullying. And they were already bashing her, attacking her, smearing her, and it didn't stop. It didn't stop. So listen now, because most of you probably didn't even hear it because the media wouldn't cover it because they were so busy attacking her, they wouldn't even show her speech. That's how busy they were to go after her. That's how desperate they were to try to knock her down and ridicule her and mock her. So listen now to Melania Trump say it's time for us to protect our children from cyber bullies. Roll it, Brittany.
As a mother and as First Lady, it concerns me that in today's fast-paced and ever-connected world, children can be less prepared to express or manage their emotions and oftentimes turn to forms of destructive or addictive behavior such as bullying, drug addiction, or even suicide. I feel strongly that as adults, we can and should be best at educating our children about the importance of a healthy and balanced life. So today, I'm very excited to announce Be Best, an awareness campaign dedicated to the most valuable and fragile among us, our children.
It was actually a very good speech. It was a very powerful speech. By the way, is cyberbullying not a problem? Do we not have a rash of suicides by young people today because of what's said on Facebook or Twitter or social media? She's put her finger on a major issue, on the pulse of a major issue, and yet they wouldn't even, I kid you not, they wouldn't even cover the speech. They wouldn't even let her speak. Listen now to CNN. The moment Melania Trump got up and approached the microphone, boom, they turned to one of their talking heads, and the goal, bash Melania nonstop. Roll it, Brittany.
Her husband has been known to be a name caller on Twitter and talk aggressively on Twitter. She addressed this today in her speech with the president sitting right there in the front row. Now, I think what she's saying there is she's going to do this in spite of her husband's tweets, maybe even because of his behavior. But let's focus on the next generation, these kids getting bullied, these kids facing really serious issues in social media and going forward with it no matter what he does.
I mean, this to me is incredible. I mean, it really is. And it didn't stop just with CNN. Listen now to this. NBC's Peter Alexander at the daily press briefing went after Sarah Huckabee Sanders, saying, whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Who the hell is Melania to talk about cyberbullying when President Trump is allegedly the cyber bullier in chief? Roll it, Brittany.
Sarah, we're going to hear from the First Lady in a moment. She's going to promote, among other things, good behavior among children. Part of this effort has to do with cyberbullying right now. Does the president accept any responsibility for American skepticism that the First Lady from the White House would be speaking out against cyberbullying?
Look, this is something that is extremely important to the First Lady. I'm not going to get ahead of her announcement or her comments. In fact, I'm only going to take one last question because we got to make sure that we get there so nobody misses that. And the president will also be joining the First Lady at that event, so we want to make sure everybody has a chance to tune in. Aisha, we'll take your question last.
To be clear, the question was about him, not about her. I know that we'll wait to hear what she says, but does he accept responsibility for this climate that exists right now, that there is the need to sort of address an issue like cyberbullying?
I think the idea that you're trying to blame cyberbullying on the president is kind of ridiculous when it comes to kids. This is something that has been problematic and something that we have seen over the last decade, and the First Lady sees it to be an important issue and something that she wants to address, and she'll do that here shortly. Aisha.
It's unbelievable. I mean, honestly, I thought she handled it extremely well, but I would have laughed in his face. So you're trying to tell me that cyberbullying now has apparently only become a problem since Trump became president? In the last, whatever it is, 16, 17 months, however long he's been president? So we haven't had cyberbullying going on for the last 15 years? Like all of a sudden now, it's a Trump problem. It's not a nationwide problem. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two, and here I get to the heart of the matter. President Trump is an adult. President Trump, when he tweets, first of all, he's usually responding to vicious attacks. That's number one. Number two, he's tweeting to other adults. So it's not cyberbullying. It's not like he's picking on 10-year-old or 9-year-old or 11-year-old kids. So here you have the mainstream media melting down. Oh, he's a cyber bully. Like that feminist on CNN that we played, what is it, a couple clips ago. Oh, this just reflects badly on her husband and he's to blame. And so I'm looking at these people in the mainstream media and I'm thinking, you call him a Nazi, you call him a fascist, you call him a wannabe dictator, you call him a white supremacist, you call him a racist, you call him a sexist, you call him every name in the book. Yet when he hits you back on with a couple of tweets, one or two or three really harsh tweets, all of a sudden then, oh, he's a bully. Whoa, 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 whoa. If you can't dish it out, then if you can't take it, don't dish it out. They're the ones that keep dishing it out. So they can dish it out, but they can't take it. They can stand there and spit on the president, smear him, attack him, libel him, slander him, demonize him, call him every name in the book. But when he goes on Twitter and blasts them with a tweet or two, all of a sudden, oh, he's a cyber bully. We can't take it. You know what? You're grown adults. You want to get in the public arena. You want to be shilled for the Democratic Party. You want to join the Never Trump resistance. You want to call this man every name in the book. Well, you can be big enough boys and girls at your age, in your 40s and 50s and 60s. I think you should be able to handle a few tweets. Okay? You're big boys and you're big girls. So if you're going to call somebody the most despicable names possible, don't be surprised if he gives you a couple shots in response on Twitter. That, to me, is point number one. So this has nothing to do with bullying kids. Nothing. Okay? That's number one. So like a bunch of snowflakes, they melt down when finally somebody pushes back. Point number two, and this to me is such an obvious point that I can't believe more women are not commenting on this. I really, honestly, I don't understand why women are not more outraged about this. What has feminism taught us for the last 40 to 50 years? That women should stand on their own right. That women should be evaluated as unique women. Nothing to do with their husband. That they should be judged on their merits and on their own competence and on who they are as people. Nothing to do with their husbands or the behavior of their husbands. That they should be evaluated and seen in their own light. And yet, what are they doing now when it comes to Melania Trump? They're judging her based on the actions of her husband, which is the very thing they've been railing against for the last 40 to 50 years. Hillary Clinton, no, forget whatever Bill did. We have to judge Hillary on her own merits. Michelle Obama, doesn't matter what her husband did, we have to judge her on her own merits. I could run down the whole list. But when it comes to Melania Trump, all of a sudden, she has no credibility on speaking out about cyberbullying because of the alleged actions of her husband. Well, what about your feminism? What about her rights as a woman, to speak as a woman, to be heard as a woman, to be seen as a woman, as an individual, as a woman in her own right? They're denying her that very same philosophical claim that they've been pushing for the last 40 years. Notice, they treat her like a pariah simply because she's married to Donald Trump. Why don't you take her arguments on her face value? Why don't you address the claims that she's making, as you would insist for Hillary, as you would insist for, I don't know, Marxist Muchel, as you would insist for any other woman? You would never judge a woman by the actions of her husband. But that's exactly what you're doing to Melania. You phonies, you frauds, you. And let me make one final point, and then I want to throw it open to you. 617-266-6868. What Melania Trump is talking about is not President Trump calling CNN fake news, i.e., look at Anderson Cooper, Don Lemon, all of the people at CNN, men in their 40s and 50s and 60s, allegedly Wolf Blitzer, experienced newsmen and women who rail against him all day and then he hits them back. She's talking about 10, 11, 12-year-old kids who, because, I don't know, they like to play the piano. They like to do art. They get mocked mercilessly and ridiculed mercilessly to the point that some think they have no choice but to commit suicide. That's what she's talking about. She's talking about kids bullying kids. She's talking about kids using social media to so humiliate, embarrass, and taunt other kids that many of them feel there's no other way out, maybe except through suicide, or they get into depression, or they fall into all kinds of other problems and have all kinds of other issues. That's what she's talking about. And on this, she's 1,000% correct. And so I've got to ask you this, to everybody, to all of you in the audience, but in particular to the women. Do you feel that Melania Trump is being treated to a despicable double standard? that the way the media is picking on her and treating her, they're not treating her like an independent, successful woman in her own right. Remember, she was a very successful model. She came as an immigrant to this country. She made millions of dollars on her own way before she met President Trump. Yet they refuse to treat her as the individual, successful woman that she is. They keep going after her and see her through the lens of her husband. Is that fundamentally demeaning to a woman? Is that fundamentally degrading to a woman? And why does the liberal media, why do they hate Melania Trump so much? And let me throw one more log on the fire. Is Melania Trump right? Have you experienced with your children cyberbullying? Is cyberbullying a real problem in our schools, in our communities, and in our society? Are children being picked on by other kids, social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and it's leading to depression, it's leading to all kinds of issues, maybe, God forbid, even suicide? Is this a major social problem that needs to be addressed and that we need to be made aware of? 617-266-6868. Why is the media tearing down Melania Trump while lauding Stormy Daniels? Your calls next.
Her husband has been known to be a name caller on Twitter and talk aggressively on Twitter. She addressed this today in her speech with the president sitting right there in the front row. Now, I think what she's saying there is she's going to do this in spite of her husband's tweets, maybe even because of his behavior. But let's focus on the next generation, these kids getting bullied, these kids facing really serious issues in social media and going forward with it no matter what he does.
Melania Trump tries to announce her initiative to combat cyberbullying. The media starts attacking Melania, saying you should go after your husband, forget about protecting the kids. Are they mistreating Melania Trump? And let me throw even one more log on the fire. There was a despicable piece in the Washington Post yesterday, listen to this, based on, as usual, anonymous sources, no actual real evidence, that now claims Melania Trump is not even sleeping with the President of the United States. I kid you not. Now the Washington Post is peddling she can't stand him. There's no sexual relationship between them anymore. They don't see each other. She's never in the White House. Is Melania Trump now not even thinking of staying with the president? Listen to the press corps pounce over that scurrilous story, basically saying Melania is estranged from Trump based on no evidence. Roll it, Brittany.
Sarah, in its front page story this morning, the Washington Post, among many things, reported that there are persistent rumors that Mrs. Trump does not live in this White House and that she lives with her parents somewhere in the suburbs. What do you make of those rumors?
I make of the fact that just when you think the Washington Post can't get things any more wrong, they do, and that is an outrageous and ridiculous claim. The First Lady lives here at the White House. We see her regularly, and I think that's something that belongs in tabloid gossip, not on the front pages of the Washington Post, and I hope that they'll do better next time.
No. The only thing I disagree with Sarah on, it does belong on the front pages of the Washington Post, because that's yellow journalism. There are rumors. Yeah, I know. I saw it in the National Enquirer as well. Yes, the Globe. Yes. I saw it in that Star, whatever you buy at the top at the supermarket. Yeah. No, I saw that too. No, I know. No, she's also a lesbian. You didn't hear? Yeah, she's a big lesbian. Oh, they have lesbian orgies in the West Wing, and they're peeing all over the Oval Office desk. Yeah, the Russians have it all on tape. You don't know this? Come on now. This is, to me, unbelievable. You have no evidence. So let me get this straight. She's miserable. She's not sleeping with her husband. She's on the verge of divorcing her husband. No evidence. Then, cyberbullying. Well, why should we listen to her? Look at her husband. So here they are mocking this poor woman, shaming this poor woman, degrading this poor woman, smearing this poor woman. If anybody did anything similar to Michelle Obama or to Hillary Clinton or whatever, the press corps would be going berserk. And I'm going to say something else, and I'm going to be very candid with you. I don't think it's just because she's the wife of President Trump. It's partly, that's it. But I think it's deeper than that. I think it's because she's an immigrant. And I think she's an immigrant, in their eyes, from the wrong part of the world. Because she speaks with a thick Slovenian and Central Eastern European accent. And I think they hate her for that. Honest to God, I really do. I think there is a deep-seated prejudice against people from that part of the world. And I think they resent her. I think, frankly, they also resent, I'll be honest with you, how attractive she is, how glamorous she is, how well-groomed she is. I think there is also a tremendous amount of envy and jealousy in that newsroom. I'm just going to be very honest with you. And I think that's another reason why they're going after her. But the way they're treating this woman is, to me, a national embarrassment. They should be ashamed of themselves. Is there a double standard? And is Melania actually the one being bullied by the media? Susan in Somerville, you're up next. Go ahead, Susan.
First of all, Jeff, I want to say hi, and my husband and I love your show.
Thank you. Thank you, Susan.
We think you and your wife, Dr. Grace, are great parents, and we really respect that.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you.
You're welcome, but what they're doing to Melania in the White House is so unbelievable. When I read it on the Internet the other night about her and what's going on in the White House, I don't think it's anybody's business, first of all. And second of all, Donald he's such an unbelievable president for 71 years old. I mean, that guy has no sleep at all if he has a couple of hours. And she's so busy with Barron. I mean, I was a really busy parent myself with my children, and I had a lot of time spent with them. And, I know it takes a lot out of you, and you have to concentrate on your kids. And you can't be hanging out with the president all day long when you have Barron and other things to take care of. I am so proud that she started to say she wanted to start something about this bullying thing, because I think all kids in school, a lot of kids in school are bullied. I think my son was sort of one of them, and he was one of these kids that was a tech nut in school, and went to private high school, and a lot of the kids, didn't respect that, and now in 2 weeks he's going to be getting his master's in electrical engineering. So that's that.
Good for him. Good for him.
Thank you. And, I taught my son, just keep on going, don't listen. And he had that attitude, and he never wanted me to say anything. But I used to do lunch duty in schools, and I did see a lot of it, and it used to churn my stomach, especially for the parents that used to come up to me and complain about my son's getting picked on, or my daughter. And it really, they did nothing about it in schools, the schools that I went to. They absolutely did nothing. They talked to the kids or they talked to the parents, but it still went on. And I think she's doing a great job.
Susan, I agree with you. I completely agree with you, and thank you very much for that call. Look, let me be very honest with you, like I'm in the confessional. My Ashton's been getting bullied. And it's a problem at his school. And my Ava at her pre-K has been getting bullied, and it's a problem at that school. So it's an epidemic. It's a serious social issue, and she's got the guts to address it. And rather than take her on the merits of her case, they're mocking her, ridiculing her, and trying to somehow see her only through the lens of her husband. And I'm telling you, that goes against 50 years of what feminists say they believe in. And so my question to you is a simple one. Do you think Melania Trump is being bullied and mistreated by the media? Number one. And to the women out there in particular, do you feel she's really being given a bum rap? And number two, cyberbullying. Have you seen it? Have your children experienced it? I know I have. 617-266-6868. Okay, we're definitely going to cover this story in the next hour, I promise. There are conflicting reports about the president's stance on the Iran deal. He's going to announce at about 2 p.m. whether we're pulling out or not. Evan Heidenrich is in the WRKO newsroom. He has all of those details. Take it away, Evan.
Thank you for listening to the show on Really Big Something Channel.
President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump are living essentially separate lives within the White House is the subject of a major Washington Post report today. The White House dismissed it as tabloid gossip.
1:38 here on the great WRKO. Okay, now the media turned their guns on Melania. They're claiming that she's a lightweight, that she doesn't know what she's talking about, that she should not be lecturing anybody on cyberbullying, because she's married to allegedly the cyberbullier-in-chief, President Trump, and now they're getting into their marriage. Based on rumors, they say now they're estranged. She's not sleeping with him. They're not physically intimate. She's never seen in the White House, and that basically now they're almost on the verge of divorce. Is Melania Trump being absolutely degraded, demeaned, and ridiculed in front of the whole country and the world, and whatever happened to hashtag #MeToo? 617-266-6868. Rosalie in Chelmsford. You're up next. Go ahead, Rosalie.
Hello.
Hi.
First time caller.
Welcome, Rosalie. Welcome.
Yes, but I like to say the saddest part of all of this, they try to tell us kids not to bully each other. But here's the media. Here's the Democrat Party, and even the FBI is setting an example for our kids to go out and bully everybody because they're doing the same thing themselves. And it's a shame.
Rosalie, I'm just curious, what is your opinion of Melania Trump? What do you think of her?
I think she's beautiful. I think she's well-versed in what she's doing. And I think she should ignore him just like her husband does.
Do you think that the media is bullying her? Do you think they are mistreating her?
Anybody they have to do with Trump? Yes. I mean, this is ridiculous. They set an example for our kids to do the same thing, too. They tell our kids not to do it, but they're setting an example for them to do it.
Rosalie, brilliant. Rosalie, you got to call again. That was an absolutely brilliant point. Thank you very much for that call.
Thank you.
She hit the nail on the head. I mean, really, what is Mueller but a bully? What is Comey but a bully? What is the Democratic Party now but a bunch of bullies and thugs? What is the mainstream media, in all honesty, but bullies and thugs? All they do is bully any possible conservative or any potential conservative out there. And now they're bullying the First Lady. And they're calling her every name in the book. They're insulting her. They're mocking her. They're ridiculing her. Look at the way they treat her. Look how dismissively. You know, I mean, think about it. No, really. Here is a major initiative being announced by the First Lady of the United States. Just think about it, okay? On, I think, to me, a very serious issue and a very pressing issue, which is bullying, which is a problem we've all been talking about for decades, and in particular, cyberbullying. They wouldn't even let her speak. They wouldn't even cover her speech. They had these feminists on CNN essentially talking over her. You see Melania in the background. Her mouth is flapping up and down, but you don't see what's coming out of her mouth. And they're saying, well, this is really about her. So, you know, all this Freudian analysis. This is really her, I think, really saying in spite of her husband, and maybe even because of her husband, that's why we need to do these cyberbullying initiatives. And I'm thinking, like, you know how demeaning and insulting it is? She's a human being. She's a successful woman. She's a professional woman. She stands in her own right. Why can't you let her speak? Why can't we hear what she has to say? Instead, you automatically dismiss her because of who she's married to. Yet for the last 40 to 50 years, what have you all told us? See women as they are, as women, in their own personality, in their own light. Forget who she's married to. And that's exactly now what they're doing to Melania Trump. They're treating her almost like an appendage of the president. It's disgusting. It's disgusting. Frankly, it's misogynistic and sexist to the core. Everything they claim is about they're accusing Trump of, they're displaying in their behavior right now to Melania Trump. Agree? Disagree? Tim in Waltham, you're up next. Thanks for holding.
Hi, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Tim?
Good. Well, I think Melania is total class compared to the alternative. We came very, very close to having Bill Clinton as our first lady. Can you imagine the story that could have been coming out of the White House if Bill Clinton was our first lady? Please.
So, Tim, do you think Melania is under fire? Do you think she's being mistreated?
Yeah, everything associated with Trump is under fire, obviously. It's just ridiculous. I just hope the American people can see through it.
Well, Tim, I want to ask you, and I want to ask all of you this question. You had Michelle Obama, Marxist Michelle, who said that the first time she was ever proud to be an American was when her husband was elected president of the United States.
I know it.
You had Marxist Michelle, who was starving her kids. Remember that with those crazy lunch programs she wanted all the kids on? And the kids were revolting, and Mommy, Daddy, I'm hungry. And there she was lecturing America nonstop, sticking her nose in our business, and yet the media loved her. They loved her. And here you have, you're right, the embodiment of class, of style, of decorum. She's almost like a modern-day Jackie Kennedy. And she's discussing an issue that everybody thinks is relevant and important, and they're running her down and basically treating her like a bimbo.
Yeah.
I mean,
jealous how good she looks. She's a beautiful woman. And they're probably jealous of that, too.
Honestly, Tim, that's what I said yesterday. I said that to both Brittany and to Jared after when she was speaking. We put up Fox News and we were watching her. And I'm saying, just look at the way she carries herself. Look at the class, the composure. She's a former model. That European sense of style on her. I said, you know how they're reeking with jealousy in that press corps? Oh, because remember, it's only the Democrats and the left that can be Camelot, that can be JFK and Jackie, that can be glamorous, that can be trendsetters and stylish. Well, here you have President Trump. He's got his model wife. He's got Ivanka, the way they dress, their purses, the way they carry themselves. They're the ones now that are the beautiful, glamorous people, and they can't stand it. They can't stand it. You could see it's eating them up like a cancer. So what do? They have to dismiss her. Basically what they're saying is, she's a bimbo. That's what they're really saying. Don't listen to what she's saying. The husband is all that matters. Don't forget. Listen, look, she's married to Trump. Need I say anything more? That's the way they're treating her. It's disgusting. Just my opinion. Lee in Lexington, you're up next. Go ahead, Lee.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Jeff, I'd like to make a couple of points, and if you want an observation and an opinion by another woman,
go.
Here goes, okay? First of all, let's take away from the visuals, the class, the style, the fact that she was a model. Let's take all of the visual, the superficial stuff away. She is a woman who is educated and she is well-spoken. She seems to me as being a very thoughtful and methodical woman. Now, every first lady has to have a mission. So once the president takes the oath, the first lady has to work on her own mission, her own cause, because first ladies, of course, can't remain idle. They have to go on lead a cause. Now, when she came up with cyberbullying from the very beginning, if you recall, that was a time when there were young people committing suicide.
Yes.
Because they were bullied in school, by texting, by photographs, on the internet, on cell phones, all of the social media. And these young people were and still are committing suicide because they can't take the pressure of the bullying from their peers. But, Jeff, everyone is looking at her mission as being a superficial, unimportant kind of mission, if you will, or goal of hers to combat cyberbullying. I think it's very important. I think she was right on. I heard her speech. Again, it was thoughtful. She has some good speechwriters, granted. So does he. I mean, not all of us can walk up to the podium and be as eloquent as she has been and he has been in the past when he doesn't deviate from what's written for him. And,
Lee, let me ask you this, because you're making excellent points. Let me ask you this. I want to ask you two honest questions. Number one, I completely agree with you. When you look at her, she's poised. Forget the looks and the fashion, the style, all of that. She's poised. She's classy. She's well-spoken. She loves America. She's never spoken ill of America. She loves America. I think that one of the reasons why she's taken up cyberbullying is because she sees it with her son. I think Barron has been picked on. He's smart. He's a bit clumsy. He's a bit awkward. He's socially awkward. I think he probably gets bullied quite often, to be honest with you. Number one. And number two, her accent. I think for whatever reason, her accent, if you notice, late night comedians always make fun of her accent. Liberals in particular always make fun of her accent. Her accent, by the way, is exactly how my mom spoke English. They come from a very similar part of the world. And my mother spoke in that same Eastern European accent. I think they hate her accent in many ways. Am I wrong, Lee?
Can I comment on that?
Yes.
And you said they make fun of her on late night television and all that.
Yes.
They are the bullies. If you are going to pick on someone's appearance or someone's accent or someone's color or a something physical about them, you are the bully. You are not a comedian. That woman that spoke at the correspondence dinner, oh my gosh. I personally went to her Facebook page and I said, you are the deplorable. I could not believe that someone would think that they're making people laugh and that is comedy. That's not the comedy from my day, from my time. That's not classic comedy. That is bullying. And let me just say something about Barron, if I may.
Yes.
Barron takes after, I believe, more like his mom than his dad.
Yes.
In that, again, his demeanor is, he's more of an introvert.
Yes.
Understand one thing. He is just coming into his own. He's still a child turning into a young man. And we have to give him that opportunity to grow and to shine. We should be looking at him the way America looked at the Obama girls. And everything was rosy and everything was positive. This is probably a fine young man who, of course, he has an abundance of everything. I understand he's got his own floor in the apartment in New York. You can give a kid material things, but you can't take away from who they are and who they can become.
Bingo.
Who they can become.
Lee, I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you very much for that call. She's a mother who loves her son, and I'll bet you dollars to donuts, her son is probably being cyberbullied. And rather than listen to this woman who is speaking truth to power, the media prefers to degrade her, mock her, demean her, and yes, bully her. Melania Trump, is she a victim of the liberal media? Your calls next. 156 here on the great WRKO. Okay, my friends, it is now official. President Trump has pulled out of the Iran deal. We will discuss it at 205-617-266-6868 is the number. Jerry on the Cape. Thanks for holding, comrade, and welcome.
Comrade.
Comrade, how you are, my friend?
I have a message for you from Yuri, the Cardinal of the Kremlin. Das vidanya, comrade. Jeff, you nailed it. This is about hatred of Europeans of Christian descent. And I can understand where you're coming from, because my grandmother spoke with an accent. And you do take it a little personally when you see someone being judged for that. You know, and this whole thing with the president picking on everybody on Twitter, first of all, they attack him. But secondly, you know what this is all about, Jeff? That everyone has an inner child, you know. We have to get in touch with our inner child. That's why they don't like Trump. But, you know, Michelle Obama's been running all over the place giving speeches, you know. And I listened to one of the pundits yesterday say that Melania stole the idea of cyberbullying from Michelle Obama. This is just about relevance of the Obamas. They can't let go of the election, Jeff. They can't let go of it.
I'm with you.
And you asked the question earlier. You posed the question about the pathology of that Sri Lankan woman who was abused by Eric Schneiderman.
Yeah, 50 Shades of Schneiderman.
Yes. Jeff, they're self-deprecating. They're self-loathing. They hate themselves. That's why they act the way they do. And they're projectionist. They project everything onto everyone else about what they're doing. It's some sort of psycho protection mechanism or something so that they can keep going, Jeff. That's my belief system.
No, I agree with you, Jerry. I agree with you 1,000%. Okay, my friends. So President Trump is now going to make it official. He is going to be announcing it within about a minute or two. We are going to have the announcement. We're going to play it for you. But it is now official. It's breaking everywhere. He has now told Congress he is pulling out of the Iran deal. Obama and Kerry's Iran deal is dead. What exactly is the president going to do? What are the repercussions? What's going to be the long-term consequences? We are going to have all of this for you. Trust me, at 2:05. Don't touch that dial.
The voice of Boston is you. 680 WRKO Boston, 100.7 WZLX HD2 Boston, an iHeart radio station.